right. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Cross-Chain Insider, a weekly roundup of all news traveling across chains, brought to you by LI.FI. I'm Mark, a member of the BizDev team and a metaverse believer. And my co-host is Arjun, the jack of all trades, master of everything at LI.FI. What is up, Arjun?
Hey, I had a lot of fun writing this, so I hope this comes out well.
Yep. As always, Arjun writes this newsletter as well, a newsletter that can be sent to your email via Substack. So if you have not subscribed to that, please go over to our Substack. You can check it out on the screen right here, li.fi.substack.com, and you can subscribe. And you don't even have to listen to us talk. You can just read, which is probably much more delightful. But anyways, the first part of the podcast, as always, is the bridge updates. Arjun, what's going on in the bridging world?
Yeah, so a lot of updates this week. Let's kind of run through this a bit quickly. So first we have Maker StartNet DAO bridge, which is now live. And so it's great to see, like, first of all, a DeFi OG basically dabbling in bridges. And yeah, so Maker has launched the StartNet DAO bridge. This will allow DAO transfers between StartNet, ZK rollup, and Ethereum Mainnet. And we will talk more about MakerDAO and their multi-chain strategy later in the episode. So yeah, next we have LI.FI. And LI.FI, we've added support for 2 new chains in Kronos and OKX chain. So users can now bridge and swap via transfer2.xyz, which is powered by LI.FI, and explore these ecosystems. So we now have 9 bridges, 17 dexes and dex aggregators that connect 15 chains. That's a good number, by the way. Up next, we have Stargate, which is a liquidity network built on Layer 0, generalized message passing protocol. So Stargate has launched a native gas delivery feature. This allows users to basically deliver native gas to themselves on the destination chain. It's kind of like when you're bridging, you can send gas to yourself on the other chain. And once the transfer is complete, they will see the asset on the destination chain. Up next, we have Terra Bridge V2, which is now available on the Terra mainnet. So the new Terra mainnet. So V2 essentially uses Axelar and Cosmos IBC. So these are generalized message passing protocols. And under the hood, so V2 kind of like integrates both of these bridges, and it enables users to like transfer assets to and from Terra 2.0. And I think they have connectivity for Ethereum, Osmosis, Secret, Cosmos, and Juno. So those who, and like, so there was Terra Bridge V1 as well, and that's still live. So those who want to bridge to Terra Classic, they can do so via Terra Bridge V1. Up next, we have a partnership between Layerswap and StartNet bridge. So with Layerswap, you can bridge like crypto assets from your centralized exchange directly to a layer 2, like, and just enjoy the low fees. And this partnership basically enables users to bridge ETH directly from centralized exchanges via Layerswap to StartNet and just start exploring the ecosystem. Up next, we have Symbiosis and their product update. So Symbiosis is a cross-chain liquidity aggregation protocol, and they've released like a further development update on their cross-chain zaps. So the product like update simplifies the whole process of adding liquidity to existing protocols, and it's a B2B focused product where wallets, aggregators, NFT projects can use Symbiosis to add built-in exposure to any blockchain network into their DApp. So it's like a good way to like simplify the process of adding liquidity for all these protocols. Up next, and this is like a personal favorite kind of, because now I get to play around with bridge numbers. So Verim Lotus introduced an analytics dashboard for bridges with data aggregated from multiple bridges and chains. So you can basically compare bridges like Hop, Connext, Multichain, Stargate, and others based on TVL or like by assets or by specific like single chains assets, like how much assets have been bridged. So yeah, definitely a dashboard I'll be checking out in detail. And yeah, so with that was a quick roundup of all the bridge updates.
Yeah, we got to get rid of this notation though right here. Anytime I see a plus, I'm out when I'm reading a number.
Yeah, so I was just thinking that like just to make it more interesting, we need like actual numbers.
Yep. Okay, so that is the bridging section of the newsletter. As you can see, that's always at the top. Moving on, we have the multi-chain ecosystem updates. And so number one here is that we have Sushi Swap, everyone's favorite AMM, deploying on Kava network, which is on Cosmos. And so they are launching with a $14 million allocation to the Kava Developer Incentive Program, where Sushi will start with $7 million over the next 90 days to incentivize ecosystem growth. So they're essentially saying, hey, we're going to put up $7 million and we're hoping that developers and users will follow us over to Kava. Sushi Swap has been very, very, very aggressive going cross-chain, so this is not surprising. But this will be the first iteration of Sushi on Cosmos, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it is. And it's debatable whether it's cross-chain or multi-chain. But yeah.
That's what's the distinction there? Since you brought it up,
I don't want to go into those
oh, you don't want to go into the difference between multi-chain and cross-chain.
Like I think we're kind of working on an article, so there'll be a big article, and this topic needs all of the details if you're reading it for the first time.
Okay. So next up is DeFi Saver, which is an advanced DeFi dashboard, which kind of lets you do a bunch of really cool things in one place. Like you can stake, you can basically like lever up ETH positions. You can like take out flash loans, and there's like one-click solutions for taking out flash loans and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So DeFi Saver launched on Arbitrum and Optimism, used to just be on Ethereum mainnet. And another cool thing about DeFi Savers, if we scroll down here, they now allow bridging on their dApp. Now, Arjun, how do they allow bridging?
Yeah, so they've gone down the best possible solution in my opinion. They've integrated the Li.Fi SDK, so it this basically allows like bridging to Optimism and Arbitrum, and this also shows like the customizability of our SDK, right? Like it can allow so such complex use cases like ClearMyDAO, but then it can allow like simplified use cases and then give the projects an option of choosing routes, choosing bridges, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, seriously, if you're a dApp developer listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to deploy my dApp on a different chain, but I don't know how I'm going to allow users to move liquidity from chain A to chain B. I don't want to have to integrate my own bridge. Guys, we've built the SDK. It's easy to implement. Go check out this DeFi Saver integration. It's sweet. DeFi Saver did a great job. The UX is slick, and I'm excited to see some cross-chain recipes from DeFi Saver.
Yeah, for sure.
Very excited. Okay, so moving on, we have LIDO now live on Polkadot, and so their liquid staking solution is now in Polkadot. That's big. I think LIDO is on pretty much every major chain now. There's maybe at some point we want to talk about LIDO in the context of centralization and Ethereum, but that's not for today. However, always impressed with LIDO, just putting out new stuff and also not being afraid to going to new chains. They're aggressive. Moving on, we have the OP token drop last week. Kind of was a little bit messy there to start, just because they did not have their website all ready to go. Had some RPC issues. However, the token eventually launched. It looked like it was great for Optimism. I think they had 53,000 unique addresses use Optimism the day of the airdrop, which is pretty insane because their previous all-time high, based on this Dune dashboard I was checking out before we recorded, was 13,000. So they almost quadrupled it.
A lot of activity, and I wish I could have claimed it in like the first few hours, but I just couldn't. Nothing was working for me.
Oh no. Here we go. Sorry, my mouse stopped working there for half a second. And of course, since we work at LI.FI, got to plug in LI.FI. You can, if you want to get some OP tokens, you can bridge some ETH over to Optimism, trade for OP tokens. Or if you have OP tokens, and you're like, I want to trade this for mainnet, Ethereum, or I want to move this over to Gnosis chain. Just go over to transfer to, you can do that. Moving on, we have SetProtocol is now live on Avalanche. SetProtocol allows you to trade bundles of ERC20 tokens. It's kind of like index co-op a little bit. Now I want to show you why this is cool. So they're on Avalanche right now. So that means they're Ethereum, Polygon, Optimism, and Avalanche. So they're on 4 chains. Now I just want to give the users a glimpse into the future, okay? Because right now we love SetProtocol, right? They're going cross-chain. We love it, but they have the dreaded drop-down user experience. So check this out. Right now I'm on Polygon, and we have to. Let's say I want to go trade on Avalanche. I click it. What happens? The white screen of death. We have to wait. We have to wait. We have to wait. Oh my gosh. My computer doesn't like me right now. And now we have all of the new Avalanche tokens that we can trade. This is, Arjun and I kind of joked about the difference between multi-chain and cross-chain earlier. This is why I wanted to talk about it. Multi-chain is great, right? You have a drop-down menu with 4 different chains that your dApp lives on. Now, in a cross-chain world, what we at Li.Fi envision is that all of these chains are in one user experience and one click away. So like me as a user, like when every time I have to come over here and click and wait for a new mainnet to load, I'm not that excited. And so this is kind of a small difference between what multi-chain and cross-chain could look like. Anyways, that's my science fair experiment for the podcast. Sorry, Arjun.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Next, we have Alchemy, which is a Web3 development platform for building dApps. They now support Solana. This is the second week in a row that we've seen a big infrastructure firm go cross-chain. Last week we saw Infura.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have Alchemy. So maybe this is a big bear market trend where all of these infrastructure players are looking out across the metaverse and saying,
it's the build market. You can see that
it's the build market. Yeah. Okay. And then last up from the multi-chain ecosystem updates is probably the most interesting, in my opinion, is that we have Boba Network, which previously was an Ethereum L2, expanding their L2 skills to Moonbeam and Phantom. So Boba Network decided, hey, we're great at being an Ethereum L2, but why do we have to stop there? How about we expand the throughput and scale that these blockchains can produce on Moonbeam and Phantom? So they've moved over. If you want a really good write-up, I recommend checking out the blog's little write-up on it. They did a great job explaining why this is crazy. Arjun, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know this was possible, or like projects were thinking on those lines. But yeah, I think Boba Network is always like up for experimentation, even with the community adding support for like Boba token as gas token. So it feels like they're always up for like trying something new, which is good.
All right, and Arjun, so this is the next section of the podcast. We call it What's Poppin', because Arjun is scrolling Twitter and he's always on top of his game. And he summarizes one of the biggest concepts of the last 7 days. Okay, Arjun, what's poppin' this week?
Yeah, so MakerDAO has been very active recently. I know, Mark, you've been watching this space very closely as well. So thank you for all the links on my Telegram chat. But in the past few weeks, they've made like highly detailed forum posts about their future roadmap and strategies in general. So one that stood out for me was a post on MakerDAO's multi-chain strategy. So this basically the thread also dives deeper into their strategy and what's up. It's very detailed, and I would like to encourage everyone to go and read their like high-level description of what's going on. So to summarize, like the post starts by laying the foundation, setting the tone of like what Maker thinks is the state of the current ecosystem. So to understand Maker's analysis of the multi-chain ecosystem, 2 questions are put forward, right? So first is like how will DeFi grow, and then secondly, like arguably like the most important thing, where will the liquidity go? So we've all been talking about like, okay, liquidity is fragmented, but because of all these bridges, now blockchains can communicate with each other and liquidity is like flowing everywhere. And basically reflecting on these two questions, here's where they stand, right? So liquidity is likely to be distributed. So they say that there's a lot of innovation going on in different ecosystems, and users and developers will be attracted to try new things and explore new use cases. And as a result, like different ecosystems will thrive. And Maker feels that they need to capture this value and allow it to flow seamlessly between blockchains. And most importantly, they need to do this denominated in DAI, which is their stablecoin. And for like non-EVM chains like Solana, Polkadot, they think that the value is unlikely to flow out of these blockchains because like capital flowing between EVM chains is a different story, but between non-EVM chains and other chains is like kind of hard. So they feel that they need to go to these chains like where the value lies, and there they need to basically capture value. So in order to
wait.
yeah,
Can I recap, because we have small brains over here that they're not as they don't have your giga brain. So essentially, MakerDAO, which is the home to DAI, which right now I guess is the largest, you could call it decentralized stablecoin. They're trying to figure out how to expand from Mainnet to other places, right?
Right.
That's the whole crux of the issue right now.
Yeah, so that's the whole like multi-chain future debate. So they're kind of their stance is that the future is not going to be just on Ethereum. Like Ethereum will be the settlement layer, but because there's like so much activity going on elsewhere, the liquidity will flow. So going back to like two of their questions, one was like, how will liquidity move? So they feel that it will move to like all these ecosystems as well. And because it will flow, they feel that it like to capture all this value, they need to make DAI available on all these chains and like make it easier for users to transfer assets. And yeah, so how can you do this, right? So you can do this by bridges, but currently, like we've discussed this so many times before, like there are a lot of bridges and they make their own wrapped version of DAI, and it's not fungible, and basically a lot of confusion and problems for the users. And the MakerDAO also kind of feels that it's kind of giving up control over your own brand, right? Because someone else can just basically mint X DAI, but DAI is Maker's brand. So they're like, okay, we don't want to dilute our brand. And so their main question, again, like how do we capture value? It comes down to two solutions. And their main solution is like, let's create a bridge that is controlled by MakerDAO that makes bridging DAI originally minted on the mainnet to other rollups and like L2s easy. So this will make like transferring assets between L2s and the EVM ecosystem much easier. And then for like other non-EVM chains where, it's like, as I said, like the capital will not flow elsewhere, they feel that minting DAI directly on these chains is the strategy. So they can use assets that are available on those chains. So let's say on Solana, there's their native asset. So use that as collateral. And yeah, so basically mint DAI on all these chains. And they've kind of laid out their plans of building a framework of which chains to target. And yeah, so their end goal is basically to make life a lot easier for users and to denominate all the value that flows cross-chain in the form of DAI. And so their last and like wish is to basically make all the DAI that's available on any chain fungible with each other.
Yeah, so I find this very, 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 very interesting. Because we see a lot of native bridges, right? Like we see the native bridge between Avalanche and Ethereum, right? And that's kind of run by Avalanche, and you have a centralized group of people that can lock and mint tokens from Ethereum to Avalanche, and then you can burn and mint on the way back, or burn and unlock. Now, this is like the first time I've seen a protocol-controlled native bridge be thrown out there. And I think this requires a lot more research. I think that it doesn't seem like they're ready to launch this bridging mechanism. Seems like they're in the governance structure.
Bridge is already live, like the StartNet update, but it's like, it's the level of detail that they want to achieve is so much, and the scope is so large that it feels a lot of work like to our small brains basically. Like how do you, so again, like to your point about Avalanche Bridge, we're kind of comparing between them, but they're like, to think about them, one is a blockchain and then the other one is a protocol, but we can talk about it because they have their own stablecoin that's like used everywhere.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that MakerDAO wasn't launching any bridges, but just like their overall plan. Like this StartNet launch feels like the first
Yeah.
implementation of the plan, and there's just so far to go. I'm really keeping my eye on this. It's a bear market right now. I'm super bullish on DeFi OGs right now. Not for token price necessarily, but just because I think they're gonna really take the time to innovate. And I think this MakerDAO bridge plan is one of the most robust ideas I've seen, and I can't wait to see if they can pull it off.
I mean, it's also kind of validating the whole multi-chain thesis, right? When like an OG like Maker kind of makes plans for the future in terms of, okay, the future is now multi-chain, or like the liquidity is so fragmented, it kind of validates all the theory and that Ethereum is great, but it's not everything.
True, but we did just see what happens with when a stablecoin proves to not be quite so stable. And so I do think we do just need to address the point that if MakerDAO succeeds and let's say DAI becomes, half as large as Tether. I mean, Tether's just so massive right now. And they're across, 10 different chains. And then, we see some sort of black swan event where you see a depeg. Like what happens to crypto then? Don't know.
So the good thing here is that DAI has been through a lot of these already.
They have.
Yeah.
They have. I love DAI. I don't want to slander DAI at all, but it does just need to be thrown out there that we are now extending DAI outside of just Ethereum to other chains, and just the overall risk vectors increase when you do that.
Yeah, and that's something that they've like highlighted so many times in their roadmap, and it's good to see. And they're also kind of trying to say that, okay, let's build a framework to assess all these chains and then decide, do we want to basically mint DAI on that chain or not?
Yep. All right. And so the next section of the pod is interesting reads or listens. Arjun, what do you have for us this week?
Yeah, I think the first one is your interesting read recommendation.
Oh no, you're good to go. Yeah. Don't mess with my tabs. My tabs are in the right order.
Yeah, so this one, like, it's a very interesting topic because like cross-chain MEV, because we've been discussing this internally, and like it's a topic that I'm kind of beginning to understand. And I found that, so this kind of, we know that this exists with bridges as well. Like Connect's founder has also talked like multiple times about MEV, and we saw even in the Rainbow bridge hack, there was MEV. That's why the bots got involved. So this is like a good starter video to like basically dive deeper into what cross-chain MEV is all about and why it exists in the first place. Yeah, and this one is like, so Icon is a blockchain protocol which connects different blockchains. So they've released a light paper on their blockchain transmission protocol, which is called like BTP, and it is built using on-chain light clients. And a lot of the architecture is actually similar to the Cosmos IBC. So I've only read the thread till now, which gives a good summary, and I'm going to read the light paper soon. But I'm very interested to see like a light client bridge and how they've kind of made the most of the existing theory about light clients like Cosmos IBC. And yeah, so the last one is an article on EVM network effects by the Forefront team. Again, like it's another article that's like focusing on network effects, composability. So it's great to see that all these things are being considered on basically every article these days. And it dives deeper into the importance of like EVM and its network effects and how it has resulted in like more devs into the Ethereum ecosystem, into the EVM ecosystem as a whole, because like the language is the same and the core infrastructure is the same. So yeah, definitely a recommended read. What about you? What do you have for us?
All right. Well, I will shill our own bags here. But Arjun and I had a conversation with Multichain probably a month or two ago. It's now on YouTube. You should definitely go check it out. We dive into the story of Multichain, a couple of their most recent products that they've launched, and we talk with a guy who goes by the name Mustard. And so that's fantastic. We love Anons here at LI.FI. What would you say if I was going to change my name to Ketchup?
I'll call you Ketchup. That's
You think I could pull that off? Because this guy pulled off
yeah.
Mustard. Like he
I
pulled
mean,
it off.
to
Like
be fair,
he was
like
like, "Call me Mustard." I was like, "Yes, I will."
I know this person as Mustard from day one. So it's like I don't know his name. I don't know anything about him, but I know he's called Crypto Mustard.
Yep. And then the last recommended read is by Alex Beckett. It is short for all of you guys whose brains have, as Arthur Hayes says, been deteriorated by TikTok. We have composability in a roll-up ecosystem. Essentially, Alex makes the case that bridges can solve the composability issue, which composability means like you have a smart contract on one chain and you want to call it from another chain. That's pretty hard to do right now, which is why bridges exist. And he kind of makes the case for saying, while this technology may not be perfect right now, we're laying the groundwork for it to be perfect in the future, and that he's pretty much bullish, especially on an L2 to L2 perspective. And so definitely check this article out. Really liked it. Very simple. He even like bolds certain sentences, so you don't even have to think that hard. Pretty big brain stuff. Okay, and so we are to the final section of the podcast here. It's the hottest, spiciest bit of the podcast. I'm thinking that we're going to call this TLDR from now on. What do you think about that name?
Like I thought this was like where we give our own opinion about what's on your mind. Right?
Yeah. The
So how
cross-chain TLDR. Yeah, so it's your TLDR. You
of
can
what's
give the
going in my
people.
head.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So this week, I'm kind of intrigued by all these articles that I've read about composability, and yeah. So I'm personally going to dig deeper into what it means for bridges and the network effects, like the whole thing around it. And I think the article that you pointed out was just great, and I think that started something in my head. So I'm going to dive deeper into composability and how bridges are playing a role into that, and the BTP Litepaper as well. I'm going to read that because I think light client bridges are a relatively rare breed. So I'm going to check out how their architecture basically works.
All right, and my cross-chain TLDR, as usual, I'm weird, so I'm thinking about domain names this week. Here's why I'm thinking about them. I think that a mainnet blockchain layer 1, L2, whatever domain name is going to be the most valuable asset in the cross-chain world that you can have going forward from a user experience perspective. Because like there's no way that any new market entrants are going to be able to understand why different chains have different addresses and be able to copy and paste those addresses correctly when making cross-chain transfers. Which is why I think domain names where you can literally just have, my domain name is cram.eth, and then on, Solana, my Solana domain name is cram.sol. You can literally just plug those two addresses into the two ends of the transaction, and boom, you can have a cross-chain transfer. I think we're sleeping on domain names in the cross-chain space. I haven't heard this talked about once in the context of a cross-chain world.
I'm just kind of interested to know why we don't have ENS on all the EVM chains, basically.
I know. I need a domain name on any chain I am on, and I don't feel like outside of Ethereum it's really a big deal. But I think it will become more and more of a big deal going forward. And so I'm actually going to do some research this week on what the cross-chain domain space looks like, because I think I want to go buy a bunch of stuff.
I think like if they can make somehow if all the EVM chains can have the same, like they have the same address, right? So if my ENS domain name can just work on all the chains, life will be so much better.
Yes, but then it's like how like I mean, I guess if you
I don't
own
know.
it
Like
on,
I don't worry about the how right now. I'm more of the can the devs do something.
but now I'm worried about the how. I actually want to look into this. Like what like if you're oh my gosh, okay. I need to look into this. See, I'm excited. I just had my coffee. This is gonna be a rabbit hole for me. Okay, anything else before we head out?
Nope, can wrap it up.
All right. And so that is the latest episode of the Cross-Chain Insider. For more info, be sure to subscribe to the Cross-Chain Insider, as Arjun writes it every week. He does such a great job. You should also check out Li.Fi, Li.FI. We're building the ultimate cross-chain money Lego. And you can check out Li.Fi on Twitter at Li.FI Protocol. And you can find our Discord link in our Twitter bio. Come hang out with us. I think we're pretty cool. And with that, peace out.